Welcome to Engines of Mischief. Congratulations, you are a weaver or a spinster, the working class of Manchester. This video will explain how you keep track of the amount of money you earn each game session and how that impacts your lifestyle and class status. To keep these accounts, you must fill out 2 worksheets each game session. Each profession and social class has a different worksheet. These 2 worksheets help you determine how much money you make and what kind of lifestyle you can lead. You must fill out a new worksheet each game session. Your goal is to make enough money so that you can move up a level in your class, or better yet, move into a higher class. The first thing you must do is fill out a Make Money worksheet. Different professions have different worksheets because they make money in different ways. Begin by filling in your character name and don't forget to put the session for which this worksheet is for. As a weaver or spinster, you begin the game making money in home production. You make cloth by hand in your home. One weaver and one spinster use a certain amount of raw cotton to produce finished cloth. The spinster spins the raw cotton into thread, which she then gives to the weaver, who weaves it into cloth. Later in the game, you can move into factory if you wish, where you will use machines to make cloth. So the first thing you should do is put in the type of work you do. In this case, it's hand production. Then you fill in the name of the workers in your cottage. This depends on the number of players in the game. The game master will display or pass out an employer-employee chart to tell you who is in your cottage. You are Mary Cannon, so your employer is Merchant Old Now, and you have in your cottage yourself, Mary, and a relative, Samuel, who is a fictional relative in the game. Samuel will not be an actual student player in the game. He will just be an imaginary relative in your cottage. He could be your brother, your cousin, or your uncle. You command the labor of the other people in your cottage. So if you change employers or move to a factory, the relative in your cottage will go with you. So put their names, your name, and your cottage mate's name in the box for workers in my cottage. Then you put in your employer's name, which in this case is Merchant Samuel Oldnow. Now you must find out how much money you earned this session. As a worker, you get a weekly wage. Your employer comes to your home once a week, picks up the finished cloth you made, and pays you a wage for it, and then drops off the raw cotton that you will use for next week. Now you must find out how much that wage is. The game master will display or give you a market conditions board. This tells you the cost and price of many things in Manchester. Look for hand production, then look for the wage. In session 1, it's 10 shillings per week for weavers and spinsters. Then you write 10 shilling, 10 in the box for wages. You only include the wage for yourself, not for the other people in your cottage. If you earn other income, for example, as a gift or doing other work, put it in the box below. But in the first session, we'll assume that you haven't earned any extra income. So the total money you've earned is 10 shillings. You don't begin the game with any savings, so the 0 in the box remains there. But you will put 10 shillings in your total income. So session 1, you have earned 10 shillings. Now it's time to spend your income, and this requires another worksheet. You now have to fill in a determined lifestyle and status worksheet for your social class. This will tell you how you can live based on how much money you have made this session. In other words, it will tell you what your lifestyle is like. Make sure that you include your character name and the session number at the top. Don't forget that you have an income of 10 shillings. Now you have to see what level of the working class you belong to. There are 3 levels based on the amount of income earned. You are not in the working poor. because they make between 6 and 9 shillings a week, and you make more than that. You also are not in the labor aristocracy who need at least 25 shillings per week. You are in the respectable working class who have an income of between 10 and 24 shillings a week. So you will fill out the boxes for level 2. Now fill in the boxes for the first row. You put in your weekly income, you put in your savings, and you add them up. So you have a total income of 10 shillings. The next thing you have to do is figure out what your expenses are. You have 2 types of expenses, necessities and luxuries. As a weaver or spinster, you must spend 10 shillings a session on necessities. This includes food, clothing, household items, and shelter. You must pay for a certain amount of these items to be considered a member of that class level. You would like to buy luxuries, but you can only do that if you have some extra income. The pictures on the right give you an idea of what your necessities and luxuries would be. As a member of the respectable working class, you have all the necessities and luxuries of the class beneath you. You eat bread, you have potatoes, you have some soap, but you have a little bit more because you rent an entire floor of a cottage rather than one room. You would like to be able to afford luxuries because this shows that you're doing better than other people at your class level, and it will give you status. If you can have tea and sugar or educate your children or have new clothing, that shows that you're doing better. But when you subtract your necessities from your total income, you end up with 0, which means that you don't have any money left over for luxuries. So obviously you would like to try to find ways to earn some extra. So let's assume that you got a raise and now you're making 14 shillings instead of 10 shillings. Again, you fill out the boxes and your total income is 14 shillings. You also have to buy necessities of 10 shillings, but what this does is it gives you a savings of 4 shillings. And you can use that savings on luxuries. So you get 1 status point for every 4 shillings of luxury. So if you want to use that savings for luxuries, you move up to the pink box above, you put in a -4, and you give yourself 1 status point in the box to the left, which you also put down in the box below. And if you have other status points, you can add them up. You could have gotten another status point for giving a very good speech in town hall or having a collective action that was successful. But what you would do is add up your status points and you end the session with 2 status points, but no savings. But in session 2, you have another choice. If you have an income of 14 shillings, for a total income of 14 shillings, and you spend 10 shillings on necessities, you can end up with 4 shillings of savings that you keep. If you do decide to keep your savings instead of buy luxuries, in session 3, you simply put the savings in the box savings last session. And if you don't spend it, down in the bottom, you will have a total income of 14 and a savings of 4. So in the next session, session 3, if you decided not to spend your savings on luxuries, but to keep them, you have a weekly and still have a weekly income of 14 shillings. You end up with a total income of 18 shillings. You still have to pay for your 10 shillings of necessities, but you end up with 8 shillings left over. With that, you can buy 8 shillings of luxuries and gain yourself 2 status points. You could continue saving money this way, but ideally what you would like to do was to make a higher weekly income. If you make an income of 25 shillings a week, you can in fact move up a class level to the labor aristocracy. And if you do this, you automatically get 5 status points for moving up a level, which you would put in the box there. So As a weaver and spinster, you have many choices for how to adapt to the new economic conditions of the Industrial Revolution. But your main goal is to try to lead a better lifestyle for yourself and to help your class as a whole do better. So good luck with the game, Engines of Mischief.